Most people don't betray someone they love because they don't care. They do it while still feeling attached, connected, and emotionally involved. That contradiction is what makes betrayal so confusing, not just for the person who is hurt, but for the one who caused it. Psychology explains that betrayal is rarely a single decision. It is usually a gradual process shaped by emotions, unmet needs, and small rationalizations that build over time. By the end of this, you'll understand why people betray those they love, what happens in the mind during that process, and why it often doesn't feel as intentional as it looks from the outside. At the core of betrayal is not always a lack of love. Sometimes it's a conflict between emotional needs and self-control. Humans are driven by both long-term values and short-term rewards. When those two systems clash, the brain can start justifying choices that go against personal morals. This is where the first shift happens, often quietly and unnoticed. Imagine someone who feels unappreciated or emotionally distant in a relationship. They don't suddenly decide to betray their partner. Instead, they begin seeking small moments of validation elsewhere. A conversation becomes more personal, a connection feels exciting. Over time, the brain starts to label this as harmless, even necessary. Here's where it gets interesting. The brain is very good at protecting your self-image. Most people don't see themselves as disloyal or dishonest. So instead of thinking, I'm doing something wrong, the mind reframes it as, I deserve this, or this isn't serious. This process is called cognitive dissonance reduction, and it allows someone to act against their values without feeling immediate guilt. Have you ever noticed how people explain their actions differently after the fact? That's not always manipulation. Sometimes it's the brain trying to stay consistent with how they see themselves. As emotional involvement grows, another psychological force takes over. Secrecy increases intensity. Hidden actions create adrenaline and anticipation, which the brain can mistake for deeper emotional connection. What started as a small shift becomes something that feels powerful and meaningful, even if it's built on unstable ground. But betrayal isn't only about seeking something new. It's also about avoiding something uncomfortable. Difficult conversations, unresolved conflict, or fear of hurting someone directly can lead people to escape rather than confront. In this way, betrayal becomes an indirect response to emotional pressure. This leads to an important question. Is betrayal always about the other person, or is it often about what someone is avoiding within themselves? The answer is often the second one. Another layer involves emotional compartmentalization. The mind has the ability to separate conflicting feelings to reduce discomfort. This means someone can feel genuine love for their partner while simultaneously engaging in behavior that harms them. Instead of resolving the contradiction, the brain keeps the two experiences in separate mental spaces. That's why some people appear normal, even affectionate, while hiding something significant. It's not always because they feel nothing. It's because they've divided their emotional reality in a way that allows both to exist at once. But this separation doesn't last forever. Over time, the psychological tension builds. Guilt, anxiety, and fear of being exposed begin to surface. Even if the betrayal remains hidden, the internal pressure increases. This often leads to changes in behavior, distance, irritability, or emotional withdrawal. Now consider this. If someone truly didn't care, there would be no internal conflict. The stress and inconsistency often come from the fact that they do care, but not enough to stop themselves in the moment. There's also the role of opportunity. Many people believe they would never betray someone they love. But under the right conditions, emotional vulnerability, attention from someone new, and a lack of immediate consequences can shift behavior in ways they didn't expect. This doesn't excuse the action, but it explains how human behavior can be more situational than people like to admit. So what does this mean for understanding betrayal? It means that betrayal is less about a single moment of failure and more about a series of psychological steps. Small justifications, emotional gaps, avoidance, and opportunity all combine to create a situation where someone crosses a line they once believed they never would. Here's something worth reflecting on. When people say it just happened, they're often skipping over all the quiet decisions that led to that point, and those decisions are where the real understanding lies. This doesn't remove responsibility, but it shifts how we interpret the behavior. It shifts the focus from simple labels to deeper awareness of how the mind works under emotional pressure. Because once you understand the process, you start to see the warning signs earlier. You notice when boundaries are slowly moving, you recognize when rationalizations begin, and you become more aware of your own vulnerabilities, not just other people's actions. In the end, betraying someone you love is not just about hurting another person. It's about the internal conflict between who someone believes they are and what they allow themselves to do. And sometimes the most important question isn't why someone betrayed someone else, it's how they justified it to themselves. If this made you think about your own experiences or relationships, take a moment to reflect on what stood out. And if you want to explore more insights into human behavior and the hidden patterns behind our choices, you can stay connected for more.